What is going on, everybody? Sports Expert here, and we have our NFL Power Rankings for Week 3. So before we start the video, please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell. Like the video, comment what you think. We're going to post a ton of NFL content and college football if you're interested in that every single week. And liking and commenting really helps us in the algorithm, so I would really appreciate that, guys. So yeah, let's get right to it as we have our NFL Power Rankings for Week 3. So yeah, make sure to hit that subscribe and post notifications so you don't miss any videos. At 32, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They are now 0-2. You could argue they're the best 0-2 team, but they did have some very low expectations coming into the season. So hence the reason why they're at 32. You know, Marcus Mariota didn't play an awful game. They were down 28-3 at one point. Almost came back on the Rams, but, you know, didn't have enough to win. Kyle Pitts wasn't targeted enough. Drake London, though, had a nice game, but Falcons just are trending downwards this season. At 31, I have the 0-2 Carolina Panthers coming off a loss versus the New York Giants. You know, Baker Mayfield's team not starting out too well. He's trying to prove himself in this league, and they're now 0-2, including a loss to the Cleveland Browns at home, so not ideal for Mayfield and company. Brian Burns still looks like a very solid player, but the offense is going to have to get it together. At 30, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They are coming off a terrible 24-0 loss at Jacksonville. They had a ton of injuries, so that's not too surprising. Missing Leonard, missing Pittman. They have basically no receiving options. Matt Ryan threw no touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Very quiet day for Jonathan Taylor, just not ideal for the Colts. Frank Wright could be one of those guys that ends up being on the hot seat. At 29, I have the Chicago Bears. They are playing the Green Bay Packers right now. They're actually up 7-3. And the Bears, you know, solid team. So, so far as they beat the San Francisco 49ers 20... I can't remember what the score was. I don't know if it was 20-something, but, you know, they're 1-0, you know, playing a solid game first quarter versus the Packers so far. Justin Fields trying to, you know, take strides in his development. At 28, I have the Washington Commanders. They are coming off a loss at Detroit. And, yeah, 36-27. They absolutely got cooked today defensively, especially in the secondary. Just not an ideal game for them. And they're going to have to work on some things if they want to compete this year. Carson Wentz just, I don't know if he's it, man. I don't know. I think Joe Flacco would be a better option than Carson Wentz at this point. At 27, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They are coming off a miserable 27-7 loss versus the 49ers. A bit of a letdown after their big win versus the Broncos. You know, Geno Smith didn't have a great game. You know, the whole team around him really didn't have a great game either. You know, missing Jamal Adams obviously hurts. So the Seahawks, I'm not going to overreact too much with them, but they're just not that good. At 26, I have the New York Jets coming off a miracle win over my Cleveland Browns. Yeah, not good. I was going to make a video about Joe Woods, but I've already made many videos about him, so whatever. It's just going to be the same thing. So, you know. But, yeah, you know, Joe Flacco played a really solid game. 4 touchdowns. I believe he had 307 yards passing, 8 catches, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Garrett Wilson. You know, he's going to be a beast out there. At 25, and they're, you know, maybe not the same old Jets. I mean, Robert Saleh, a great coach. At 25, I have the Houston Texans coming off a loss to the Broncos 16-9, a game they should have won. No disrespect, but really should have won that game. Another poorly coached game by Nathaniel Hackett. You know, Davis Mills didn't play that great. The whole team didn't play that great in general. It's kind of like the Seahawks, too. Just a mess there. At 24, I have the Tennessee Titans. They play Monday Night Football versus the Bills. You know, 0-1 coming off that miserable loss versus the Giants. And we'll have to work on some things. At 23, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. They are coming off a miserable 20-0 choke and a loss versus the Cardinals in overtime. Hunter Renfrow fumbled twice in overtime. Fumbled on, they got it back first, and the second time took it all the way for a touchdown, Byron Murphy. So Byron Murphy almost lost the ball at the goal line, which was something, but hey, you know. But the Raiders, I have them at 23. You know, not ideal. It's not like they're playing horrible, but they're just losing the close games with Josh McDaniels at the helm. So, yeah. At 22, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are coming off a 17-14 home loss versus the New England Patriots. You know, Mitch Trubisky just didn't play too much of a good game. You know, the receiving options weren't there for him. Just a better game defensively by the Patriots and cost the Steelers. At 21, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. They are surprisingly 0-2. Super Bowl hangover, looks like it. Losing to Cooper Rush on the road, the Dallas Cowboys. You know, Joe Burrow was under pressure all game. Just not ideal for the Bengals at all. I mean, if they're going to want to win some games this year, they got to clean it up offensively, especially with that offensive line. T. Higgins had a solid game. Jamar Chase really didn't do a ton today, so going to have to clean it up there. At 20, I have the Cleveland Browns coming off a massive choke versus the New York Jets. Not the only team that had a massive choke today, which is crazy. Yeah, I mean, people are saying Nick Chubb should have went down, they would have won. Yeah, but at the same time, not his fault that the defense allowed 13 points in 1 minute and 15 seconds when the team had no timeouts. So really shouldn't be blaming the dude. So yeah, but and the Cleveland Browns, I believe there's been like 10 onside kicks in the last 3 years recovered. 3 of them have been the victim of the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, Mike Prefer, that's you, buddy. That is you. Clown. What a freaking loser. At 19, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are coming off a big 24-0 win over the Indianapolis Colts. Easy win for them. Trevor Lawrence showing why he owns the Colts. Jaguars with Doug Peterson don't look too bad. They could easily be 2-0 right now. At 18, I believe they are first place in their division, yeah. At 18, I have the Denver Broncos as they are coming off a 16-9 win over the Texans at home. Good defensive performance. A bit sloppy though, but with Russell Wilson at the helm, hopefully they can get better for their sake, but not a great start for them, I would say. At 17, I have the Arizona Cardinals after their overtime win versus the Raiders. If they would have got blown out, they would have been in the 28-30 range. But Kyler Murray finds a way to get it done. What a throw on that 2-point conversion. Got to give him credit there. That was absolutely incredible. Byron Murphy did the job. And Isaiah Simmons had a great overtime too. At 16, I have the Detroit Lions. They are coming off a big 36-27 win over Washington at home. Another team that could definitely be 2-0. But, a rebuilding team in the Lions, they got a great future ahead of them, no doubt about it. And I really like what Dan Campbell's got there. A lot of young talent on that team. At 15, I have the Dallas Cowboys coming off that 20-17 win at home against the Bengals. Cooper Rush played a solid game. They are 2-0 in the last 2 seasons while Cooper Rush starts. I mean, hey, it's got to be noted, and their chances of Jimmy G are over, and I'll explain why in a second here. But yeah, the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb and Noah Brown showed up enough in order for them to get the win. Tony Pollard had a big game, easily running back 1 there. Sorry, Zeke, can't happen. But, the Cowboys played a good game defensively too, especially with their pass rush. Micah Parsons, Leighton Vander Esch, those guys really stepped up today. At 14, I have the New England Patriots coming off that 17-14 road win against the Steelers. Typical Bill Belichick game. Great defensive game against Mitch Trubisky, a guy that he can easily frustrate. Patriots aren't a stupid team, so they'll win some games this year. Mac Jones didn't play the cleanest game in the world, but he did find his game manager to win this game for New England. So, yeah. At 13, I have the San Francisco 49ers, and the reason why Jimmy G isn't an option for the Cowboys now is due to the fact that Trey Lance's season's over. He has suffered a broken ankle, and if you saw the play, it was kind of disturbing, and there's the one reason why it was disturbing. He didn't know it until a few seconds later. Trey Lance literally got up and fell back down after feeling that break. That's got to be painful and disgusting. Man, I feel bad for the kid. That's basically 3 years without football for him, as the FCS season was canceled due to COVID, really. Then last year he was a backup, now injured. Jimmy G, that's a season-saving decision by the Niners to keep him. What a job, I got to say. If they would have traded him, we would have been like, hey, maybe they should bring him back. At 12, I have the New Orleans Saints. They are coming off a 20-10 loss versus the Buccaneers. Played a solid game in general, but kind of blew away towards the end there. No Marshawn Lattimore, but they had no Mike Evans too, so that really isn't much of an excuse after the ejections. But, I like Mike Evans sticking up for Tom Brady, though. I can understand. But, Saints, James Winston playing with 4 fractures in his back, not too shocking. They lost that game. At 11, I have the 2-0 New York Giants. Shout out to the New York Giants, man. What a job they've done. Brian Dable, I told y'all the dude is going to be a good coach. And look, 2 games in, doing a good job. Kenny Galladay didn't play too much because, it's a competition. Brian Dable, he doesn't care if this guy has a track record or not, or how talented he's been in the past. He's holding an open competition. He's playing undrafted rookies over Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney, and it's working, man. This guy is serious about winning. He's doing what's best for his team. A lot of coaches are nervous. They cut guys that, are undrafted because they're undrafted over guys that are first and second round picks that aren't producing, And even if you're undrafted and producing, hey, they're going to cut you. Dable ain't doing that. I mean, he's smart. He's doing the right thing for this Giants team, and it's winning them games. So, hey, I like it. At 10, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, the Eagles, man, played Monday night versus the Vikings. They look good week 1, but, you know, want to see more. But, you know, I like where they're headed. At 9, I have the Green Bay Packers playing the Bears right now. You know, started 0-1, but I have faith Aaron Rodgers can get the ship rocking. So, yeah, not too concerned there. At 8, I have the Baltimore Ravens. They are coming off a massive choke versus the Miami Dolphins. You know, 35-14 in the fourth quarter. Tua went off. Waddle, Hill, big game. Gesicki had an okay game, you know. I mean, the Ravens just didn't have enough. Lamar had a big game, but, I mean, you got to be better than that, Baltimore. I mean, Mike McDonald and John Harbaugh didn't coach the greatest game, that's for sure. At 7, I have the Los Angeles Chargers coming off a Thursday night football loss versus the Chiefs. Chargers could have easily won that game, but a lot of mistakes, penalties and such just didn't help. Dropped interceptions, especially from Asante Samuel Jr. So, yeah. His dad even called him out after the game. Like, man, on Twitter. That was funny. At 6, I have the Minnesota Vikings. They play Monday night. You know, looked great versus the Packers in home week 1. See if they keep it up. At 5, I have the Los Angeles Rams. They're coming off a win over the Falcons at home. Touchdown Packers. They just took the lead. So, yeah, they're fine. But, you know, the Rams almost choked a 28-3 lead of their own against the Falcons. So, hey, I mean, Falcons could easily be 2-0 right now, I'm telling you. But, I mean, the Rams, I still think they're a very solid team, easily one of the best, the defending champions, so I'm not going to be too concerned there. Stafford looked much better today. He had 10 days to rest that elbow, and, you know, it paid off, I guess. At 4, I have the 2-0 Miami Dolphins, you know, great offensive team. I got to say, the defense has, you know, they've showed up too at the times, but there's times where they haven't. But I got to say, man, this Dolphins team could be dangerous. They might be a Super Bowl contender if they keep it up. Not going to overreact yet and say they are because, you know, only 2 games in. But, yeah, nobody's season's over. It's only been 2 games, so I'm not going to say anything about that. At 3, I have the Buffalo Bills. They play Monday night tomorrow versus the Titans at home. We'll see if they win that game comfortably. Maybe, maybe not, but really like what the Bills are doing, especially after that 31-10 win at Los Angeles. At 2, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're now 2-0. They might have the best pass defense in football, coming off a 20-10 win over the Saints on the road. You know, their offense hasn't been too sharp, but once they play more, I think it'll get more sharp as Tom Brady making his way back still after, you know, the debacle with his wife. You can't blame his wife, though. I mean, he retired. She wanted him to retire and spend time with the family. He decided to come back for another year. You know, it's been pretty messy there. But we'll see what the Buccaneers do the rest of the year, but I'm still confident. At 1, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, Patrick Mahomes is a beast, an absolute beast. The Chiefs, their defense is definitely still very solid. You know, not concerned about them at all. But, yeah, you know, still really like what I'm seeing from Andy Reid and company. Kansas City Chiefs, number 1. So I appreciate everyone being here. Sports Expert here once again. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Turn on the post notification bell. Like the video. Comment what you think. We appreciate it very much, guys. I'm out, guys. Sports Expert here. Peace.